Now that that's done, there are several rules to animating with Flash, and we're going to go over them all during this tutorial. But one of the first and one of the very most important ones is that you can only animate something called a symbol. So we need to make this, which is just essentially artwork, into something called a symbol. And you do so by selecting the artwork and then pressing the F8 key on your keyboard. And that gives you a convert to symbol box. So you want to give it a name. So I'm going to name this ball. And under type, there are 3 different types of symbols, which we'll go over at a later date. Essentially, you can't go wrong with a movie clip. So if you ever have a question on what type of symbol you should use, I would go ahead and make it a movie clip. It's the most versatile of all the symbols. So you can't go wrong with a movie clip. And then we'll just say OK. Alright, so you may notice that there's a blue box around this. It also has placed that into this palette over to the right called the library, which is a very important palette. And essentially it's the storage container for all of your symbols. Okay, so now that it's a symbol, we can go ahead and animate it. I'm gonna click that. And as you can see, there's a blue box that indicates that this indeed is a symbol. It's listed here in the library. One kind of mistake that often people will make is they'll accidentally double click that. And if you double click it and you kind of see this fuzziness, if you look in this breadcrumbs menu here, notice it says ball up here. That's indicating that we're actually inside that symbol. We're not actually on the stage anymore. We're on the symbols stage. So that's often a mistake, and we just want to click back to scene 1 and make sure that we're on the main timeline. Alright, the next thing I want to do is just draw a simple kind of reference to reference the ground. And so I'm just going to draw a simple line. The second rule that we're going to talk about in terms of animating is that, so you're going to animate something, it has to be on its own layer by itself. So making layers is much more than just making things convenient. It's actually a necessity if you want to animate things. So I'm going to go ahead and make a new layer, and if I look up here at the timeline, this is the measurer of time. So I'm going to start changing this over time. So this is my measurement of time. I'm going to make a new layer. If I click down here at this button, it's the make new layer button. And it's always best to name these things. So I'm going to name this ground. And I'm going to name the layer 1 that the ball's on is as ball. So we've got our layer with the object or the symbol ball and our ground where we're going to draw that. So make sure that's clicked. If you draw it on the same one, it'll mess up your animation. So make sure that's clicked, and I'm going to click the line tool, and I'm just going to draw a kind of a simple line just below the horizon line. It doesn't matter that it's crossing over here because no one's going to see that, because people will only see what's in the white box. Now we have our essential elements. We've got a ground and something to animate, and that thing is on its own layer by itself. And we've got a ground to kind of give us something to bounce off of. We're going to animate this ball. So what I'm going to do is put it at its starting location. And it's going to start off stage, so it's in that gray area. The next thing I want to do is to create some frames or some time here, because I want this to change in a certain amount of time. So I'm just going to click on frame 50, and you can click on any frame you want. I mean, but I just want to click on frame 50, and I'm going to press the F5 key. So that's going to increase that. So I'm pressing the F5 key. Now notice something. Look down here. As I move that timeline, notice that ground disappears. So you got to be mindful that each layer has to have frames to be viewed. Right now this currently only has 1 frame. The ball has 50 frames. So I'm going to need some more frames here on the ground. So I'm going to go on the ground layer also, click on that area 50 and press F5 to create some frames. And so now over the span of time, as the playhead plays, we can see both objects.